Hi guys, today I'm gonna show you how to use UItools plugin for Unity to create the UI elements that acts very much as a buttons but could have several states. And also I'm gonna show you how to easily to manage state switching for those UI elements. So I already created the new scene that's called buttons and it is the canvas. I usually use the next settings for canvas scalar script that referencing this resolution, and also use the render mode screen space camera that points to the main camera. This is the best approach from my experience to create UI interface that could be scaled, very nice scaled for different screen proportions. Let's talk about use case when the state button could be useful. As a user, I want to change gain settings to adjust it to my needs. It could be such settings as music on off, sound on off, show heats, etc. We have a ready for use case added to UItools. It's called on off button and located under use cases menu. And it works pretty much the same we just described for use case. So we have two states here, on and off, and user can control it's the state just simply clicking it. So let's try to recreate this functionality using UItools components right here. Let's create a new empty game object. Let's call it for example, we need to have a sound control. So, control. Yeah, so it will be the bottom. And let's create two states. First one will be on. Let be white. Let's add the text also here. Let's make it a bit bigger. Oh, that's good. And the second state will be of this different text. And also let's change the color. Let be just gray. Nice one. So actually, we already prepared all UI game objects to let our sound control workable. So actually, we need to manage game objects switching. And here, the first component from UItools will be very useful. It's called UIStateItem. And actually it works pretty great with states, is the main purpose. So there are three default states here. That's called inactive, active, and disabled. And also you could add any amount of custom states. Let's add it. So we have the on state and also off. What is beautiful about UIStateItem component is try to find states according game objects for each state under this game object, parent game object. So as we can see, it already found the on game object and off. So actually we could test state switching right here. So when we click on, UIStateItem just changes the current state to on and game object just enabled. For off is just switching to another game object. And if we change the state to the ones that non-exist, all other states will be just turned off. Okay, so let's try to define default states. So let's assume that we have a sound here, and sound will be enabled by default. So when we launch the scene, UIStateItem just will initialize UIStateItem to default state, so it's on. But for now, it's not the button yet, so it's just an image or even UI component, game objects with two different states. To add control, let's add the button component here, and for off state also. Great. UIStateItem comes with a list of built-in functions, so API. You can find it at this site. We have a documentation here, examples, and the list of all APIs that could be used from the scripts, but also that could be used from the as a reference and action from the button. Yeah, so for on state, let's call UIStateItem function that's called setState. It accepts the string that should contain exactly the name of the state. So when the state is on and we click in, we need to change it to off. And let's do the same for off state. UIStateItem setState. When I have an off state, we need to change it to on. And our component is ready. We have two states here. We have a button that's just switching the state. And now user can control the sound. Actually, it will be even better to change this text here to be more informative. Sound of yeah, much better. So once our component is ready for use, let's talk about integration. It's great that we have a component that could manage states now, but in real life, for interface, for games and applications, we'll need just to be able to access this state from the scripts and somehow to subscribe to such event when the state is changed. For example, for this case, just to turn off and turn on the sound once the user just change the control, it's the settings. So at scripting API, we have a property that's called current state. It's a string that simply returns the current state. And another useful event that we will use is on state change. This is unity events that launch it every time when the state changed. Let's add some logic here. I'm going to create the game object and call manager. Let's assume that we will have the manager scripts here that will manage our game logic and other functionality. And let's create a new script, for example, sound manager. Yeah. Okay. At first, we will need to subscribe to onStateChange event here. We have a callbacks here on StateChange. So let's create a public variable called UIStateItem. We'll need to add the namespace here. Let's wait while it's compiling. Yeah. Let's link our sound control here. And at start, let's subscribe to this event. Let's get the example from the documentation. It looks pretty good for our case. We don't need update here. We don't need the get the component. We will use sound control and just add our listener to onStateChange event. State changed. And actually, once the state is changed, we're gonna to just print it to debug console. So state has been changed. Let's leave this one and just print our property that's named current state. Let's get back to the Unity and check that we don't have any errors here. Yeah, looks good. Okay, we have a first event here. The state has been changed to on. This is comes from the default state. So once the application is run and UIStateItem component is initialized, so the state is changed to default one. And on state change, we have another event. The state has been changed to off. And here we go. It's pretty simple to manage and subscribe to state change. So we have a completely separated logic. The sound control is ready for use controls that manage the states and controls the UI behavior, and the managers that just subscribe to onStateChange events and other events, and allows us to implement the logic, how to control the sound and other settings and other logic. Let's add another use case. As a user, I want to see what controls are read-only and what are not. For example, for these settings, for sound control and for music control, we could have a more important control that controls the silent mode. So when the silent mode is on, the sound and music controls are automatically disabled. So there is no reason for user to manage it separately. So let's expand the sound control a bit. We have two states here on and off, but as we just discussed, when the silent mode is on, we need to switch this control to third state. Let's use build one that's called disabled or even inactive. So once the silent mode is enabled, the sound control is just inactive. Let's duplicate off state and call it inactive. and add separate text. All right. Now we have the on state, have the off, and also inactive. We can change the color to another one. I don't think that. Let's choose the gray for inactive, white for off, and let's use some kind of blue, light blue, for on. So we have inactive, we have on and off. Now you could control the state in the similar way that we just implemented here. So just call setState function and pass the off, on, and inactive states to manage the global behavior. When the silent mode is on, the sound control is inactive. Just to simulate it right here, let's change the default state to inactive. And this is the same behavior when the silent mode is just enabled, because, oh my gosh, recast on off. Aha, we need to remove the buttons here. Remove component. Yeah, for inactive we don't have or we even shouldn't have the buttons here. So this control becomes absolutely like read-only. And for inactive mode, yeah, now it's not clickable. But if for another situation or input conditions when the silent mode is off, we have the same behavior as we implemented at the first stage. You could add as much states as you need for these buttons, but you know the button is most simplest way to show how it works. But you could assign, you can assign the UIStateItem to any component to implement any logic. So it's very often in user interfaces that different UI elements could have many states, and you usually need to switch between them. So UIStateItem is comes very helpful for that, because we have states here. You can define the default state. You can define separate game objects to be responsible for each state, and simply to test it from the editor and to control it right from the scripts. So this is where the UIStateItem comes very helpful. And yeah, for other cases, I use this component a lot, because it's really one of the most core components that are implemented for UItools. So this is it. Thanks for watching. Visit our project homepage to check the new video tutorials and other interesting use cases. And also, if you have any interesting use case and you wonder, is it possible to implement this behavior using our UItools plugin? So you feel free to send us email request, and we will try to find a solution. And probably we'll create another video tutorial especially for your case, just to show how it will be easily to recreate any complex behavior using UItools. Thanks for watching, guys. Until next time, cheers.